Hola chicos, ¿cómo están? Estás aquí en el live, en nuestra casa, en Cahuín, de Descentralizados. Y estamos con un gran invitado. Pero primero vamos a saludar aquí a don Leo Salgado, que es nuestro justamente gran profesional del blockchain. José Miguel acá, el conductor y algo que sabe de finanzas. Pero lo importante aquí es nuestro entrevistado, Ameen Soleimani, que es justamente el CEO de Spankchain. Ameen, how are you, dude? All good?
I'm doing great. Hola, Santiago.
Yeah. Everybody else is like really expecting what is everything around, Spankchain. Who are you and how did you get into, like the blockchain and everything around it?
I'm Ameen Soleimani. I studied chemical engineering in school, and my first experience with Bitcoin was actually buying mushrooms on the Silk Road with Bitcoin. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
They were pretty good. After I graduated,
everything is chemical, right?
Yeah. I tried to build some Bitcoin arbitrage bots. I made a little bit of money off of arbitraging between Mt. Gox and another exchange, but then made way more money when the price of Bitcoin shot up and then lost everything in Mt. Gox.
No shit.
So it was one of those. But then crypto sort of toned down. I got out of it for a year. I worked on a startup called Filter. It was a news aggregator. It was a little too early. It was sort of peacetime. Barack Obama was president. Nobody was really worried about fake news. So it didn't work out, but then after that I joined Consensus, which is the largest blockchain startup, run by a guy named Joseph Lubin, who's one of the co-founders of Ethereum. Worked on that for a while, and then ultimately left to start Spankchain, and here I am today.
So did you get into the blockchain because you knew these people in Consensus? How do you get into Consensus? You knew the people there. You were like, you have the pulsation of the blockchain because you were like this. You have this like dissolution about the blockchain, the cryptocurrency. So you're like looking more like the technology more than the coin itself, right?
Yeah. So I'd been into cryptocurrency for a while, but I hadn't really understood the power of the blockchain, and then. My news aggregator, because it tracked communities of people, we had a Bitcoin topic, and then what happened was my Bitcoin topic, had the 1,000 top sort of social media influencers in the space, and it would show you the articles that they shared the most on a given day, and then they started talking about Ethereum, and so I just discovered this Ethereum thing. In about December of 2015, and I started doing research on it and seeing the articles that were coming out about applications of blockchain and how it could solve sort of fundamental human coordination problems, and I got really excited by that, and then I actually went to a hackathon. So
those things are pretty awesome.
Consensus 2016 was how I got my job at Consensus. Because I went there, I got a ticket, and I didn't get a ticket to the conference, but I went to the hackathon, and I tried to pitch them on a project called Instant Tutors. Now, I was into education, and I couldn't find other teammates to work with me on the hackathon for education. And I was also sort of surprised by how few people there were actually real developers, and I sort of read the entire Solidity documentation, and working on apps and stuff, and figuring out. And so I built a sort of rudimentary pay-as-you-go online video micropayment system.
That's like the beginning of this, right? The beginning of Spankchain. So let's dig into that.
Yeah.
How everything began. I mean, how you get with the idea of with this thing we can actually monetize, and there is a lot of person, that they are in the business of, like camming and everything.
Yeah. So when that happened, I mean, that was. Early on, it was before I even started working at Consensus, before I even knew what micropayments and payment channels were. And so I pitched that, but nobody was into education, so I worked by myself. And then what happened was I met one of my future friends at Consensus at a bar. And he told me...
That's the best way to get into that.
And he told me, he's like, you should do this for CAM models. And I was like,
shit.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. That's not a good idea. I don't know. I'm sort of iffy about this.
Yeah.
But it turns out he was right.
The best ideas came from a bar. It's amazing. Give it up for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, a year after working at Consensus, I became the payment channel expert because I recognized the scalability issues and how they could be solved on the application side in addition to the blockchain side. So I was the micropayment expert at Consensus for a year, and when I left, I was really trying to figure out where is the first place that consumers are really going to start adopting this technology? Where is it going to happen first? Who are the group of people that will move on to this whole new economic infrastructure first? And the answer was obvious. It was porn, right? I made this slide deck. I published it on June 9th, which is 6/9 of 2017. And that was the Genesis deck.
Yeah.
It was 120 slides of how I was going to restructure online cams, taking into account all these sort of self-sovereign identity and payment channels.
How was the response? I mean, you are going to
Everyone
put
thought I
this...
was insane. Well, it was also filled with tons of porn because it was 120 slides, and I did very in-depth research on all the campsites. It had case studies. Here's how every single screen looks. Here's every single step of their registration, the payments. Here's how you get into a group show, private show. Here's what tokens they use. Here's which ones accept Bitcoin. All this information. I did my homework, but a lot of people were like, "This is crazy. You can't put this much porn in a pitch deck to VCs.
There's so much nudity in this."
But I think it was a sort of an effective filter to find the people who were perverted and rational enough to see the value in this ecosystem and also wanted to help empower the community. And they joined. I found my first designer in Venice, and I hired him maybe 4 days after publishing that, because he sent me a direct message on Reddit and was like, "Do you have room? I need to be in on this thing." And
it's porn. It's the biggest industry. I mean, you're in the also I have here the white paper. You were saying that actually in the Renaissance, the second biggest book in the Renaissance was a pornographic one.
Yeah, I fought to put this in the white paper, but they wouldn't let me. There's this great picture of iModi, which is the Ways, and so it was they came out with the books, but the first book was only the Bible, and nobody wanted to learn how to read because you're only getting the Bible. But then this guy, I forget his name, but he made iModi, which is the Ways, which was different positions, right? And it was just a short story of 16 different positions and associated poems, sexual poems, erotic literature of the day.
Yeah, like the Pornhub from the 16th century,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. and that got everyone to start learning how to read.
Cool.
And I was inspired.
That's amazing. You have the carrot there.
Yeah.
Just run towards.
If you provide the appropriate motivation, I think people can jump over any barrier.
Dude, that's deep,
Yeah.
Well, and you have there the validation. And how you get into, you get in touch with your porn star, how they tell you about this thing. They pivot a little bit the base of the project, or the project was already good enough for them to try it out? How was the relationship with them?
So
your customers.
It was funny because the first group we were thinking about partnering with was Suicide Girls. Suicide Girls is a big brand, tattooed girls, super hot. But they don't really do porn. And the funniest thing that happened was that they didn't want to work with us and be our sort of founding partner because they didn't like our name. Suicide Girls told us that our name was too risque for them to be associated with.
Right.
And so we were okay, we're not going to change the name.
we already purchased the
exactly.
site, so we.
And so then within a couple days after that, actually, we met Janice Griffith, who became our founding adult industry liaison. Sue's a very popular performer. I think she was 28 on Pornhub at the time. And she helped us make a lot of connections to everybody else in the industry. Helped us, cater our messaging because there's a lot of social norms in the industry that we had to learn and adopt in order to be respectful to the participants.
We're going to talk about that off the camera. But it's really interesting. Continue.
We partnered with her, and she helped make demo video, the original first proof of concept of our payment channels technology, had her spanking herself, and I would give her a little quiz. I was like, I was like, could you spank yourself? And she responded, she's like, what's the magic word? And I guessed a bunch of things, and I was wrong, and I was like, hodl, and she's like, just went at it, and that went pretty viral within the community of our supporters, and people like that, we're actually developing cutting edge technology, but we're also doing it in a way that, we're not like being stuffy academics, we're sort of willing to have a little bit more fun, and that goes with the brand and the industry.
That's the good thing. I mean, you're putting this kind of technology closer to the people because you have the right motivation to get into the technology. But let's dig in a little bit about the tokens, right? Because there are 2 tokens.
Yeah, this is all built over Ethereum, right?
This is all, so it's only, Spankchain is just meant to be like a funny name. It's not actually its own chain, it's all on Ethereum.
All right.
Right? people ask me that, like, what chain is it? It's like, it's on Ethereum.
Yeah,
Relax.
actually, that was the first thing that I thought. But this is a new blockchain. But
Yeah.
I was reading the white paper, and it's all built over Ethereum. And can you explain us about how the token and the micropayment system works in the reality?
Yeah, so I'll explain both sort of separately,
Okay.
because the micropayments and the token are related but independent components of our ecosystem. So Spankchain has the only working micropayments on Ethereum in production on mainnet today.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
thank you.
Good.
Funfair is a gambling site. They came out with some stuff like a couple days ago, so they have actually more sophisticated state channels, but we've been out for like 2 months. So anyway, the payment
You're
channels.
pretty recent. I mean, the project itself is really like growing like hell.
So we finished our ICO November 20th. So it's been a little over 6 months that we've been live, and we launched 2 months ago. So it's pretty quick. The team is all really good. I'm really proud of everyone for putting in a lot of hours, a lot of long nights, but we made it. But let me tell you about the micropayments. So the way micropayment systems work is sort of the same in all Lightning Network, Raiden. When you want to provide a series of payments off-chain, you can place some money in a deposit with a specific counterparty, a specific address that you're paying, and then with the same key or a predetermined key that you agreed on, you sign these messages that you send from server to server off-chain, right? And each of those payments can be really small because you're not incurring any sort of gas fee. You don't have to get it processed by the whole network, and it's instant. Because again, it's not being processed by the whole network. And so you, with payment channels, have infinite throughput, very cheap transactions. And then what happens is when you're ready to settle the payment channel, the receiver or the sender just takes the latest payment and then sends it to the smart contract, and that settles the balances and sends them both the money that they're owed. And the reason that both of them feel confident in allowing this to happen is because both of them know that they can settle at any time and that they'll get their money. And so it allows you to have lots of small transactions, even though you basically bundle them into 2 on-chain transactions. Right?
Wow. So you have 2 different transactions that in the end they come together and do the payment, paying the gas that allows them to do so.
Yeah, and so the analogy I like to use for this is bar tabs. Right, everybody knows how bar tabs work, right? You go there, you give them your card, and then you order drinks. You're not paying literally every time you're ordering a drink. That would be really annoying, right? So they just keep a little tab, and they keep track of what you're ordering, and then at the end they charge you, and they charge you all of it. Right? So you only have to pay once.
There's 2 tokens, right? Because you have the Spank and the Booty.
Yes, so now to the tokens. We have a unique token model. We actually, it was inspired by Gnosis' token model. It's a prediction market, one of the Consensus's flagship companies. And the token model has a staking token and a stable token. And so you stake Spank, which is our staking token, in the Spank Bank smart contract. And the Spank Bank smart contract mints Booty. And Booty is a stable coin that is pegged, get it, pegged, to $1. And the total supply of Booty is determined by its consumption. So when we charge 5% fees on our campsite, which is 10 times less than all of the other campsites charge. So when we charge that 5%, we accept that 5% in booty. And so then we take that booty and we send it to the Spank Bank to be counted and burned. And the Spank Bank will mint new booty to target a total supply that is 20 times the previous month's consumption of booty. So if, let's say, there's 100 booty used in a given month, then the total supply will target 2,000 booty, because that's 20 times 100, right?
Right.
And so if you sort of see this consistent 100 booty being consumed month after month, then the booty supply will go, 2,000 to 1,900, because that booty is consumed, it's counted and burned to the Spank Bank, and then 100 more will be created. And that 100 that's created is distributed proportionally to the Spank stakers of the Spank Bank. And so it acts as an incentive aligning mechanism. The people who are staking are basically have the right to generate fee credits that'll subsidize their usage of the platform. And if they aren't using it as much, or if the network grows and they find that they have extra fee credits that they're generating, then they can sell them to other participants on the network.
Wow, so there you create a whole economy.
Yes.
So wow, that's amazing. And how this is going to start? We already have a working product right now, or we are going to see it like in a few couple of months?
My plan is to launch this by the end of the month. Because I just finished writing all the smart contracts for it, and one of my top Solidity developers is writing all the tests and simulations, and we have all the documentation written, so now I'm just working on a blog post. I started writing this blog post, and then I started reading about how central banks worked, and I got in a bit of a rabbit hole, and there's a lot of stuff there, so lots to learn. But yeah, it's an economy. It's sort of simple. It's transparent. It's open. You can participate by staking your Spank, and basically help grow this network.
Yeah, because here we are now in the Q3, right, of the 2018. So we're going to see like Chain, campsite. Huh?
Q2 or 1 month in Q2.
Q2
ends.
Q2, right?
End of June.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you are creating this like red light district.
Yes.
Right. What is this about? Because
So
you are basic on district and also in Aragon, right?
Yes.
Cool.
So good friends with the District 0x and Aragon guys. Their projects are both fantastic. So for District 0x, for people who might not know, it's a marketplace platform that is built on top of the Aragon governance platform, and it allows you voting rights in sort of a set of decentralized eBays for various types of things. So the first thing they're building is the meme factory, and so you can buy and sell memes, right? Yeah. And I'm really excited about this. Spankchain is going to be its biggest customer.
Yeah.
So
I really want to buy like a Dodge meme.
Yeah, exactly, right.
They're the best.
Those are the best ones. If you haven't seen the Doge NASCAR meme, you should go look at that. So for the red light district, we have partnered with District 0x to build a joint content marketplace. And so we would be operating the payment system if people want to pay in crypto through our payment channels, and we would vote on how it's governed, the use of funds, if we raise money for it, and content ranking, sort of quality assurance, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and things like that. And so that'll be built using their sort of governance stack, and we'll host the content and deal with the payments and bring in the performers. And I think there's an area that you could see a significant amount of disruption, because the current clip sites charge something like 40% just to process payments for videos. And we have a very rudimentary site up right now. It was our first DApp. It was called Crypto Titties. Now, Crypto Titties is a leaderboard for tit pics, breasts, right? So you have a bunch of performers. I think there's over 100 now, and their profiles are all ranked by the amount of ETH that they have received in tips. Now, some of the performers were very clever, and they figured out that they could use this. Instead of paying 40% for the clip sites now, they could just use this specifically because it has their Ether address on it to sell their content. And so they're selling their content directly to fans. I see them posting tweets and they're saying, prove that you sent me such and such a tip, and I will send you 3 custom clips and a video, and etc. And
so you pay them first, and then they send you the material.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's just like any porn site. I mean, you need to pay for the membership, and then you get into the whole library of them, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've been told.
And so the cool thing about CryptoTitties and sort of Ethereum in general is just that the payments are peer-to-peer, and there's no middleman there, right?
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, we only charge for the high throughput, scalable, for the campsite and the services around that. But what you're going to see is incredible disruption that arises just because performers have access to this sort of global financial infrastructure where now anybody in the world can pay them directly. And so like today, there's this feature on campsites called offline tipping, very sophisticated. You go to the campsite, you give them half the money for the right to give the performer some of the money, right? And that's like totally bizarre to anybody who's been in crypto for more than an hour, because the performers can just get an Ethereum or Bitcoin or Litecoin address and then get the money directly with no cut. So I think you're going to see a lot of these sort of middleman businesses squeezed and have to find new value propositions for their customers.
True that. Well,
actually, Spankchain is like one of the first application of the platform. I was reading that you are building an SDK to let another companies to join to this technology.
Mm-hmm. So our goal is to provide infrastructure for the entire adult community. So we win when the entire adult community is built on Spankchain stuff. So the SDKs that we're opening up, basically every component of the campsite, every component that we're building for the red light district, we're going to put into an SDK and allow you to use as a service, sort of like the AWS for porn, right? So anything that you might need to build a campsite or a clip site of your own, we want to offer that to you as a service. And so the first thing we'll do is build an SDK for the payment system so that anybody can use our payment hub, and we're targeting 0.5% fees to start, which is sort of the status quo in crypto payments, but I think we could drop that even lower.
That's amazing, but there is something that there is a problem, and it's not a problem only here, it's around the world, that the underage porn. How do you filter the different models, the different persons who are in this? Because maybe I'm a 16-year-old man trying to get into the porn, and I can't because I need to be 18. Mm-hmm. How do you filter the people in the community?
So we have 2 identity verification systems. The first one is just sort of your standard. We check your ID at the door. We send it. We have a third-party vendor that we work with, and they take custody and liability of the data, so that we're not responsible for securing it. But they say that you're okay or not. Okay. The second thing is sort of unique to live cams, where that there's a risk that at any time a performer could walk off the camera and an underage performer could walk on. Or a performer could be doing a show with a friend that hasn't been age verified, right? And then you have this problem where it's like, how do you solve this? You have to watch all the cameras all the time, right? And so in order to get ahead of this, we've designed an incentive structure into our whole economy, which is that the stakers in the Spank Bank will get rewarded for helping us do real-time age verifications on all of our live cams. And this system is called Proof of Spank.
Proof of Spank, I love it. You need to love this guy. Right.
So Proof of Spank works like this, right? So every 10 minutes, a performer that's doing a live stream is selected at random. They're going to be featured front and center on our homepage, so everybody can go there. We're going to generate 4 random numbers between 1 and 20, and then they're going to count out all 4 of those numbers. This is to make sure that they didn't pre-record the footage. And then they're going to pick one of those numbers and then spank themselves that many number of times. And the idea here is, the spanking has very little to do with the actual age verification. What else is going on is that all the users who are staking their Spank in the Spank Bank, they need to vote on whether or not the performer matches their profile. if the performer matches their profile, everything's great. The people who voted get some booty rewarded for participating, and then if the performer is found not to match their profile, then we would investigate that and potentially shut down their account. And so the reason that we're doing the spanking is sort of make it fun. That's like it's a pretty integral part of the live cam experience. It's called Spankchain. You know, a lot of times we're giving out tips for performers to spank themselves, and it's just part of the experience. It's a fun game. And the idea is like, okay, you know, it's not necessary to be part of the protocol, but if you make it fun, then more people will do it, and it'll be more effective. So why not make it fun?
Of course, you want to do it. If you want that somebody else do this, or do everything, or do something, if it is funny, it is well, like, I don't know, if you can pay them for doing it good, like in the booty, do it. I mean, they're going to do it. And how is the future looking? Because, I mean, you already have like this beta product, you know, you have the website, you know, this, and how is this thing going to explode? I mean, you're going to be the hub of all these porn videos. You're going to be only giving up, you know, the platform for the payments. Is this going to grow? Is going to be a whole like a website? How is the future of Spankchain?
So I'm hoping that we have like, you know, VR clubs, and there's like dancers and holographic projections everywhere. I think that'd be really cool. But until then, we have a lot of
until the robots take over, you know, and we have like robot girlfriends and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it's all going. But in the meantime, we're building our own sites, and we're looking for business partners in the industry. The industry often has a lot of, you know, network plays where people get together and they say you can have some of my content if you buy the subscription for the whole site. And we want to create that kind of ecosystem with the Spank Bank and Spankchain infrastructure. And so a lot of it's just integrating with sites. And so we want the user, our key focus is making sure that the user experience of consuming, you know, pornography online is 10 times better than it is today, at least for the next 6 months. Because right now, if you want to go buy porn, it's really annoying, right?
It is.
You know, I was sexting with this porn star, and then she was like, "Hey, I gotta go buy my porn." I'm like, okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it just so I can show you how annoying this is, right? And so I start screenshotting every step of the way. I'm like, this is me making an account, screenshot. This is me like putting in my credit card information and signing up for the $2.95 a month option, screenshot. This is me going to your video only to find that the $2.95 an option isn't enough, and I have to upgrade it. And then upgrade it. This is me upgrading. And then after I upgrade it, I go back to the subscription, realize they signed me up for the $30 a month subscription. Then I have to go through the cancellation flow. And then once I've done all that, I can finally watch the video. And that takes like 10 minutes. It's super annoying. I paid $30 just so I can watch one video.
It wasn't that good.
And I by that point, I was totally disinterested, and I just went and did something else. Right.
You are, it's like the heat of the moment, you know. You want the product, you want it now. Well, actually, in the white paper, you say that this like big website that they have this library of all these videos and all these different pictures that you can get into. They are losing customers because the typical customer want the free side, you know, like Pornhub or others, you know. I don't know them. And you get into this, huh?
I've heard of a few of them.
A few, yeah. Well, you get into this free website, and you get into your quirk. I don't know how you say it. Your topic of interest in this website, and you enjoy it, and then you leave. So you don't pay for it most of the time.
Right, and I think so. A lot of people use free porn. I think part of the reason, at least, is just because the user experience is so bad. Right, especially for millennials, like we don't put up with it. We're very attention span. I'm not signing up for a new thing. I don't want to manage a new account. So for us, our focus is making sure that you can just buy content one click with your Spank card. So your Spank card is your open payment channel with Spankchain. You're sending these instant off-chain payments.
You're gonna have a Spank card?
Oh, it's a virtual card.
Oh, okay.
It's a representation of a card on the
browser.
Right. Maybe one day.
That would be
it's
really
not,
cool.
It's not a bad idea. So you have this virtual representation of card, and everybody sort of knows how cards work, right? You put your money in, you deposit, you spend it, and then once you're done, you withdraw it back in your wallet. And that's exactly how the Spank card works. And so if you go to a website that we've integrated with that accepts the Spank card, you would just see, buy now, and then you'd click it, and then you'd be done. And that's it, and it pays with crypto immediately.
That's
And
beautiful.
there's no username, no password, no email address, no credit card, nothing.
But there is something that really interested me because you have all these things in a square of digitalizing industry. Being able to get into a website, with cams, or a website with this, or maybe create something like I want your picture, so I send you my. How you're going to scale this for like real, like flesh interaction? Like I don't know if you wanna, like a prostitute, I can pay it the prostitute in Spank. In the future, are you gonna develop something like that? You wanna do something like that, or you wanna create something for the internet in the blockchain?
So our primary goal is to address the digital market, digital goods, digital services, and there's prostitution is illegal in those places, but theoretically there's nothing stopping anybody from using any currency for that, whether it's Spank or cash or Bitcoins or Ether or whatever. Now, in places that it's legal, I could see us potentially moving to make it a better experience for everybody involved. Things that I think would be helpful are like real-time STD testing, but that's like more on the hard science part.
That would be really.
If people could have like STD tests that turned around in like 10 minutes, I think that would change the world.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of identity verification and reputation escrow systems that are useful, and there's a bunch of projects in crypto that are actually focused primarily on that. One of them is like Pink Date. I think one was like Eros, but that was a scam. It's sort of what you get in the space. The Pink Date founders are actually like fully anonymous.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, with these things.
But you see in the future this thing coming into the real world, but now you're gonna develop this thing in a digital world. That's the important topic. That's the important base of you.
Yes, I think eventually we might push boundaries in that space.
That would be awesome.
Adult space, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you have something else like to ask to.
No, actually no. I was reading the white paper. It's all clear for me.
It's
Yeah,
really, it's really,
it's a
really
really nice project. I think that actually in the current world, the pornography industry is a big part of the internet, and I was waiting the project that will cover the pornography industry in the blockchain, and I think that this is the Spankchain.
It's going to be Spankchain.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's right.
I know it's right.
Yeah.
I know it's right. Well, it has been an awesome experience. We have here Ameen Soleimani, CEO of Spankchain, and we really appreciate that you were there. And that's it. Thank you so much, Jose Miguel here, Leo Salgado over there.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.
Great to meet everyone.